Welcome to Kentucky State Park's Recreation Station. My name is Lisa, and I'm coming to you today from beautiful John James Audubon State Park in Henderson, Kentucky. Every spring at Audubon, we host the Ohio Valley Birding Festival, filled with dozens of bird-related activities. But this year, since we're not able to hold our festival, we still wanted you to have a chance to experience birding from your home. So we've brought in Master Bird Bander, Scott Kramer, who's going to help us with some hands-on birding today. Bird banding goes back as far as 225 BC. Throughout the ages, people have banded birds with a piece of string or something else to show ownership of a bird, or perhaps to send a message, perhaps to a soldier. But John James Audubon was actually one of the first people to use bird banding as part of science. John James actually took a piece of string and banded a couple of eastern phoebes. And then the following year, he noticed that those birds had returned to the same place. He was able to recognize them because of the band that he had put on their legs. That was the first time that an actual experiment gave us data to tell us about how birds migrate and that they have site fidelity, meaning they come back to the same places sometimes to raise their young. The U.S. Geological Survey collects bird banding data for scientific research, management, and conservation projects. By banding individual birds, we can study the dispersal and migration patterns, behavior and social structure, lifespan and survival rates, reproductive success, population health, and growth. Now Scott Kramer will explain the bird banding process for us.
Earlier this morning we came out and put the net up. The net is made out of a real fine mesh. It's got about 6 pockets in it that come down and swoop up. So hopefully when the birds fly into this area, they hit the net and fall into one of the pockets where they would get trapped and tangled a little bit to where we'd be able to get them out. But the net is really transparent to where it's hard to see from a distance, and that's good because if we can't see it, the birds also can't see it. If the birds see the net as it's blowing in the wind or shining in the sun, they're going to avoid it. But once we've caught the bird in the net, we got to figure out how to get the bird out of the net, and that's what I'm going to do at this point.
Does the net hurt them at all?
The net's a real soft material. It doesn't injure them. The netting's small enough they'll get their head through parts of it. Their claws will cling to it. Their wings get wrapped around within it a little bit, but the net itself doesn't injure the birds. All right, once we got the bird out of the net, we'll put them in a bag to secure them. The bag is like pillowcase material. They can breathe through it so they're not going to suffocate or get injured in the bag. It keeps them calm to where we can take them around to the other side of the building where we will take a look at the bird, identify it, and process it and band it to be released. You want to do this part?
Okay, what do I do?
You have to open the band up a little bit.
That's so it'll fit around the bird's leg?
Yep. And then take the band out and put it in the front. Just like that.
Okay.
See if we can get the bird out of the bag without letting it go. Then, once we've identified it, we can take a look and put the band on the right leg and squeeze it around. Yep. Now the band that we put on is designed, size-wise for Carolina chickadee. It's a size 0.
Okay, so this one's ready to go?
This one's ready to go. We've banded it, identified it, and we can release it now.
All right, here goes. Doesn't want to go anywhere. Shall I toss it up?
Sometimes they need a boost. and he's gone. You want to try?
Well, let's give it a shot.
We caught our second bird in the net, and again, luckily enough, we were able to see which side of the net she flew in on. So we knew which side of the net to get her out of, which makes a big difference.
Yeah, you have to work the net off of the toes. Hard to get it over the claws sometimes.
Once you get one leg out, the trick is to try to keep that leg out while you're getting the other leg out, and then keep both feet and legs out as you're getting the rest of the bird out.
It's kind of a juggling act. Try and figure out
To get the netting wrapped around the shoulders or the wings. You get the netting wrapped around their head.
Very good about getting that loose. It's kind of takes some practice, doesn't it? Ouch. You stop. That hurts. Go. She got you that time.
All right, do you want me to hold her?
She's attached to me at the moment. One thing about this type of bird, they do like to retaliate a little bit for being pestered with that net.
All right, so we're going to take her around to the back of the work table again and take a closer look at her, get the band on, and get her released before she bites Lisa's finger off.
That sounds like a good idea.
Well, this is the second bird we caught this morning. It's a female northern cardinal. As you can see, she's holding onto a stick, which makes her a little bit more content than holding on to one of her fingers. Their beaks are pretty strong and sharp, and obviously used for cracking open seeds, which is what they feed on. Now we need to determine which size band to put on her leg. She gets one that's a little bit larger than the Carolina chickadee that we had a little bit earlier. She gets one that's called a 1A. The bands that we put on, and this is a much larger band than she'll get, have a lot of information on them. They have a kind of a rough address on there: Avis Fish and Wildlife Service, Wright, Washington, D.C., USA. Then it has a series of numbers. This one says 599-10181. That number will identify the individual bird that is put on for the rest of his life. So this becomes like the bird's fingerprint. The same as each person has an individual fingerprint to identify them, the numbers on the band will identify this bird. This is the size band that we'll put on this northern cardinal. The bands come closed, butted end to end, closed. The special pair of pliers that we have has a spot that you can set the band on, open the pliers, and they open the band to the right width. Now the bands are designed to be correct sizes so that when they're put around the bird's leg, it doesn't squeeze the leg, which could injure it, or the band's not so large it's going to slide off the bird's leg and off its foot or inhibit the use of its toes. So the right size band is going to sit on there like a bracelet.
This goes on the right leg?
Goes on the right leg.
Far enough.
Yep. And the pliers are designed so they squeeze that band around the bird's leg just perfect. It shuts it end to end and closes up so it can't fall off the leg. Now springtime, birds are nesting, laying eggs, raising babies, and we can check for brood patch, which is an area of the stomach that will be devoid of feathers that they've plucked away to help transfer the warmth of their body to the eggs and their hatchlings. So on this female cardinal, we can take a quick glance. And see, it's highly likely she's on a nest right now. Checked her out, now we're ready to release her. Of course, we know we've got a male red-bellied woodpecker. So we've got red from the base of his beak all the way around to the nape of his neck, like this one here. You get their name because of the reddish on the belly.
Just letting us know it's not very happy at the
I
moment.
know. You can see it. Long beak and tongue in there.
Is it closed?
Almost. I'll have to bump it a little bit more. There, that's good. All right. Okay. Here you go. You hold it now.
Okay.
Which hand do you want?
The one not being bitten.
All right, we banded the red-bellied woodpecker. It's the male. Now we're ready to release him.
Okay, here goes. Thanks so much to Scott Kramer for the bird banding demonstration today. Continue to watch the park Facebook page for Museum Monday, museum collection tours, Wild Wednesday nature videos, and Fantastic Friday art lessons. Goodbye from Lisa at John James Audubon State Park. Thanks for watching Recreation Station.